to meet you. Okay, so nice to meet you. I'm Michalis Nikiforos. I'm teaching here at the Department of History, Economics and Society, and also in the Master on the Political Economy of Capitalism. So I'll just like to say a few words, and then I'm happy to answer any questions that that you might have. So why MAPEC? MAPEC is the acronym of our master's program. This is a painting that we use also in the seminar series in our department by Diego Rivera, a famous Mexican painter, also the husband of Frida Kahlo. He painted this picture in the 30s while visiting New York, and this picture shows the emblematic skyline of New York. Very impressive, but then at the same time you see in the middle panel the laborers who build these skyscrapers, who sleep all together, and then in the lower panel how the rich people take care of their wealth in the vaults under the city. So this is a painting that sort of encapsulates the contradictions of capitalism, which on the one hand, it can produce this amazing skyline, it can innovate, produce new technologies and so on, but then at the same time, it leads to crisis. Remember, this is the 30s in New York during the Great Depression, and very significant income and wealth inequalities. So the whole idea of our program, of the program in the master's program in the political economy of capitalism, is to discuss different aspects of the economy that we live in and try to understand what's happening. If we want to be more precise, like different questions that pop up very often in our courses, like a big question is related to economic inequalities. So we see like different graphs here. The upper left graph shows that in most Western countries, income inequalities have increased, although at a different speed, that they are at different levels. We see down here how Switzerland, if we look at income distribution in Switzerland, it's in between other developed countries. Another aspect of income inequalities is gender inequalities. So we see that there are, it's well established that these are data for Switzerland, but this is also well established for other countries, that there are significant disparities between income and wages between genders. So like an important question is what leads to these inequalities? Why are inequalities different? Why is the level of inequality different in different countries? What are the factors that lead to the determination of inequalities and therefore also the differences between countries? Related to that, another obviously big question if you want to study economics and political economy is related to economic development and growth. So this is a map that shows the per capita income around the world in 2024, and we see again that we have very significant disparities. The darker is the color, the higher is the per capita income. So we see that there are countries that are very rich while other countries are much poorer. So again, there is a set of questions, a bunch of questions here related to what are the factors that have led to these disparities. What makes a country grow fast while other countries grow at a slower pace? Is the fast growth in a country related to the slower pace in other countries? Or going back to distribution, how is distribution related to this performance? Is distribution related to the economic performance of the economy? And what type of institutions are conducive to growth? Are the same type of institutions conducive to growth all around the world, or in the United States they have a different setup compared to Europe? So these are also questions very important that we discuss a lot in our program. Trade. This is a recent article by the Financial Times. How do we understand trade? What is the role of trade, again, in the economic development of countries. Is free trade always conducive to growth? Are tariffs good or bad? Why did we have the recent trade war initiated by the US? What is going to be the effect of this trade war in the international economy, also in Switzerland? The digital economy, another very important issue that has emerged, obviously, in recent years, in recent decades. So what is the role of the digital economy in the present and the future? Are we talking about now a new capitalism or a different phase of capitalism or something entirely different? My colleague Cédric Durand, who also teaches in our master, has written this book on techno-feudalism. Maybe you have heard the term. He's the one who coined the term, actually. And he, in this book and in the classes that he gives here, he sort of goes into detail about this recent transformation of the capitalist economy into a techno-feudalist economy. A lot of our curriculum is related to economic history, right? So the question is how and why economic history can inform us about current events and can help us understand the current configuration of capitalist economy. So going back to the Industrial Revolution, you can see the pictures here from Manchester in the early 19th century, or the history of financial crisis. The photos on the right here come from the Great Depression. We believe, and there are several courses that deal with different periods in economic history, that economic history can inform us and can help us understand present questions. And of course, there is the question of the environment. Again, how all these questions that I have already posed are related to the environment. Can we talk today about growth without reference to the environment? Does climate change pose limits to how we grow, or how much we can grow? Or what is the relation between the growth of countries or the distribution of income and climate change? For example, the map down here, the global map down here, shows that the countries, the least developed countries, such as the African countries that historically have contributed the less to climate change, to CO2 emissions, are going to be the countries that will be affected the most by climate change. So you have this sort of contradiction. Or we can see up there that there is a very unequal distribution of CO2 emissions per capita. So the bottom 50% or the middle 40% of the global population, the per capita emissions are way less compared to the top 10%, or even if we go to the top 1%. So there is also a very significant distributional aspect when it comes to the environment. So I come back to my question, why MAPEC? Well, because in MAPEC we discuss this type of questions. Like, these are the type of questions. This is obviously not an exhaustive list. There are different classes and we discuss many different things, but this is the sort of questions that we discuss in MAPEC. And the goal of our program is to study economics and to acquire state-of-the-art knowledge, to try to understand and comprehend and apprehend economic issues within their socio-political, historical, and ecological context, to learn and acquire personal autonomous analytical competencies, and to get an in-depth systematic understanding of economic dynamics, always within a global viewpoint. So our program is very international. More than half the students come from other countries. So there is always a global dimension in our discussions and also in the interactions of students in our program. How we do that? Well, we believe in a pluralistic approach to this question. So the idea is not to start from a very specific viewpoint and emphasize only that, but different viewpoints and different schools of thought and different approaches are discussed. And students obviously have access to most recent developments and debate. We try to find the balance between the technicalities that are necessary when one studies economics and political economy, but also an opening to the real world issues. And then also, as I said, there is always this international dimension, this international connection. Some other dimensions of this is that there is a mobility program, so students can go into an exchange program starting in the second semester of MAPEC. And also we have some close connections with the UN institutions, so several of our students, they find internships or they eventually end up working within the UN system. Let me end with this. This is John Robinson, one of the most important economists of the 20th century, arguably. I always use this quote when I talk about studying economics. And John Robinson mentions here that the purpose of studying economics is not to acquire a set of ready-made questions, ready-made answers to economic questions, right? So one should not expect that by studying at MAPEC, they will acquire just a set of answers to every problem. But the point is to acquire a way of thinking about economic problems, a pluralistic way of thinking about economic problems, and then giving your own answers. And if one manages to do that, then this person will be able to avoid being deceived by economists, as John Robinson continued in this. So what comes next? So what do our students do after the program? Some, they continue doing research, PhD in political economy here or in other universities around the world. Some work on economic analysis in the private sector, private companies, consultancy firms, and think tanks, in policy making, either in NGOs or in the UN, or in the public sector here in Switzerland or in other countries. And of course, academic career, so related to the first one, they follow an academic path. This is the structure of the program. You can find the detail of the program, of the courses of our program in the website of the university. The usual length of the program is 3 to 4 semesters. The maximum length is 5 semesters. There is the possibility of an exchange program. One can go into an exchange program as early as the second semester, although it's advised to do it in the second year. So it's better to spend the first year here and then move in the second year. This is the basic structure of the program. So there are 6 required classes that give 6 credits each. So in total, 36 credits. Then there are 5 elective classes for 30 credits, and then there is a master thesis or a related workplace placement dissertation, an internship thesis, if you want, that gives 24 credits. These are the these are the 6 required classes. I teach 3 of them, so for those of you who will eventually come, you will see me a lot. There are several elective classes, so these are just some of these, right? But there is also the option of choosing some other classes from other departments, so I cannot list all the possible courses here. But you see here, like even from the titles of these courses, that these courses sort of engage with the questions that I mentioned before. Right? Growth, distribution, and politics, nature, labor, and capital, history of financial crisis, history of global capitalism, comparative politics, international political economy, and so on. As I said before, the dissertation, a student at the end of the program is expected to write a dissertation for 24 credits. The dissertation is based on your own, obviously, original research in a topic related to political economy, which is conducted under the supervision of a member of our department. As I mentioned before, there is also the option to do an internship report, meaning that if you end up doing an internship with an academic content, then you have the possibility to choose to write a report based on the work that you do during this internship. The admission conditions is that you need to have a bachelor in political economy and economic history, or a degree in or a related degree with 60 credits in economics. As with most masters in our university, the application period is between the beginning of January and the end of February. If you do not have the 60 credits in economics, you can still apply, you can still be admitted sometimes, but this is something that the admissions committee of the masters decides. Sometimes students who do not have this background, they will require to take 1 or 2 additional courses from our bachelors, or for those who have no background whatsoever in economics, they're required to do a preparatory year at the bachelor's level, and then they continue to the master's. This is the application material. So again, the portal to apply, you can find it in the website of the university. Basically, you need to write a motivation letter, to provide your CV, and to provide photocopies of previous degree and your grades. Let me just say to you that the motivation letter is very important, right? So it's very important to explain why you're interested in following these masters, and this is the case in our masters, and I would say this is pretty much the case, I think, in every masters and in every application you do. Like, people read the cover letters, and they pay a lot of attention to the letters. So put some effort into the letter. This is the website of our of the program. So all this information that I mentioned here and more information, you can find it in our website, right? If you Google political economy of capitalism, University of Geneva, you will find this program, and where you can find all of this information, as I said. And then finally, for any questions or inquiries or anything else, please do not hesitate to contact me at this email address, and I would be happy to answer any questions that you might have. Thank you very much.